Yo, Chris Warren here. Got a breakdown video for you today. Let's check it out. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Los Angeles-based director of photography Chris Warren. In today's video, we're going to be going over some of my Frame Friday posts from Instagram and taking a look at the lighting used and how I achieved those frames. Alright guys, let's get some housekeeping out of the way. So the camera used on this project was the Blackmagic Pocket 6K camera. I shot in 6K BRaw 12:1 compression. Shot it at 24 frames flat at 172.8 degree shutter and 400 ISO. The lenses we used were the director's Rokinon cinema lenses. Those lenses I have not used in ages. I used to own those lenses and I was actually quite surprised at the look that they gave, since it's been probably a good decade since I actually used them. So a little backstory on this project. This was a 48-hour film project for the Russo brothers. I was hit up by my buddy Thomas Tulak. He needed a DP for the project and I was available that day and I said sure, let's do it, why not? So for this project, it was settled on being a noir and the concept had to deal with time. I was not involved in any of the creative. I just came out to shoot a fun little project. Going into it, Thomas and we had some conversation about what if we shot it in black and white, you know, kind of give it that noir feel. So using DEHANCER in DaVinci Resolve, I took some old pocket clips and I made a couple different filmlets. And Thomas really liked a heavy contrast of Sin City with its black and white. So I made a couple variations and I loaded them into the camera. And on the day we selected which one we liked. Now, Thomas randomly at some deal, he got a Black Pro Mist 4. Not a, not a half, not a quarter, not a 1, a 4. He picked up at some point in his life. And he's like, you know what? I'm curious, with this heavy black and white contrasted light, let's throw the filter on and let's just see what it does. So we put the filter in my matte box and it just bloomed everything. And with the heavy contrasted light, it ended up just kind of giving this milky look. Him and I basically said, fuck it, and we went with the look. So what you're seeing is basically in camera. He did little to no color correction in post, and this is the result. For this first frame here, I used an Aputure 200D, and again, for my color temp, I kept it at 5600, being in black and white. We were in an office building, so I tried to control contrast by turning off the overheads as much as I can and using my lights as much as possible. So here, you could see I had an Aputure 200D just straight in hitting for this shot. You could see the bloom and everything from the filter, from the Black Pro Mist, and yeah, it was really cool just how this all came together. And like with blocking and angling of the light, I had no negative fill here. This was all straight up just one light source. And yeah, I really liked how this frame came out. It's one of my favorite shots in this film. Being up 48 hour with, little to no prep and just kind of running with a look and just being creative on the spot. It was really cool and a lot of fun. So this shot, you can see our talent here. His name is Josh. He was also the guy who spearheaded us to do this 48 hour. He brought in Thomas, and then Thomas brought in me. Super small crew, by the way. It was literally Thomas and myself and 2 actors. Again, 48 hour. Some people committed, then people bailed. You know how it goes. This location right now is facing east. And so the sun is coming in from the south, which is this direction. So our sun is right over here. So that's the exterior, because I didn't want things to, knowing that we were looking outside these windows, I wanted the sun, I wanted to do this in the late afternoon So the sun is kind of a little more west and kind of behind this building, if that makes any sense. There's screens on these windows that we rolled down. You could see in this door here that there is no screen. It's the door. It did have a thin film, kind of like an ND on it, that's just at that location. So I tried to frame out the door as best as I could. And then again, he's just being hit here with that 200D straight on, just blasting him. No diffusion, nothing in front of it. And that black Pro Mist is doing this really beautiful, milky look to it, you know? If you would have asked me at the start of my career or any point before this shoot, would I ever use a black Pro Mist 4? First, I would have asked you. I didn't know they made them that thick and that high. And then second, no, probably not. Why would I ever have a use for it? That's what's cool about filters. You can always find something to add that flair to the image. So with this next frame here, it's the same setup. A lot of the film took place with this back and forth at this reception desk. Detective walks in, he looks around and has a conversation with this receptionist. It has to be a 3-minute short overall, so there's not a lot to this film. But this definitely has to be my favorite frame of the project. Still, I have my 200 here, hitting him, and I'm angling it, you know, I'm walking it, making sure I'm finding the right angle. So the light never sat. It always moved per whatever shot Thomas and I worked out. And wherever we placed the camera, I would shape the light as best as I could. As you can see, it's later in the day. Our exterior is not as bright. I think our sun is like somewhere further. I can't draw over here, but our sun is like somewhere over here, just behind the building completely. So he's getting hit. Now, I also had, oh geez, was this an Aputure MC? Or maybe this was a little Nanlite. I think this was a Nanlite 60B. You could see this highlight here in the globe. And we found this globe in another office here at this space. And we thought it fit the decade and the mood and the tone perfectly. So in the short, the camera does this tilt up, we do a tilt up, and you see, you know, the length of this globe structure with the detective standing there. Not much to it. 2 lights, really embracing the deep shadows. As you could see here on his coat, most of that is gone and just complete crunch. But if you do look closely at the frame, you can still see some detail in the back from the natural daylight coming in. And, you know, there's still some detail in his hat here. We don't lose that. This is gone. Yeah, you know, it's just creating contrast as best as I could with the very limited resources that I had. All right, so our next frame, this one was not featured on my Frame Friday on Instagram. This one is coverage from this last scene. So like I had mentioned, there's 2 locations. In this one location, there's 2 scenes. One that takes place at the reception desk and one inside this factory. So here was a close-up coverage of our detective. We canted the camera to give a little bit of a Dutch angle. I may have had the 200, Amaran 200, out here hitting him, but there was a lot of natural light in the facility, and which you'll see in the last frame. And so yeah, it's just this hard light hitting him. I'm just adjusting intensity, just trying to find the right balance. Gosh, you know, I did not like this whole blown out behind him. That was tough. And again, limited resources. I wish I would have negged it off or blocked the light somehow. You're not always hitting a home run, right? And the shots gotta be what they gotta be, because you gotta make your projects and you gotta make your day. That is the one thing that I do dislike, and you'll see in the next frame a lot more problems that the filter caused. In this last frame here, you could see as they're walking away, they're doing this nice, Thomas did this nice, closed circle at the end of the film that a lot of cartoons or old films used to do when they walk off into the sunset or walk off into the night. And so we did that, which, it's cool. It's fun to have that, to pay homage to those. But you can see right here that, oh gosh, the bloom, and it was just as bad on this side. The bloom of these work lights that I had to embrace, right? There was no way around it. Not every frame was a home run. I tried to save the film, the scene, and coverage, and Thomas and I were aware of that, but you have to have some sort of establishing and to show where you're at. And this was the best we can do with our constraints. Now you can see that I killed all the overheads here, so all those are off, and I only had these bench work lights, and they're just straight single fluorescent tubes here, and you could just see how much right here the filter blooms the light. Like, you can't even see the tubes. And I believe in false color I am clipping here, but there was just no way to get proper exposure on them. I had to let these lights clip. Again, not my favorite, but a learning lesson. I learned some cool things doing this 48-hour film. More on that later. The last light is actually behind, my 200 is behind this file cabinet here, and that's what's giving them this edge light. And you can kind of see it right along here. It's just raking across, trying to give them some sort of backlight as they walked off, closing the film. So there you have it, guys. That's a quick Frame Friday breakdown video of a 48-hour film. What I learned doing this project was embrace what you can't control, right? Especially with this last scene and all these industrial fluorescents. We already committed to a look before we even got there. It's not pretty, right? If this was any sort of paying job or serious film, this would not pass. I wouldn't even accept this. Real quick, guys, if you're interested in how I got this look, check out DEHANCER. And if you want to save 10%, use the promo code CWDP10. So if you dug these frames, like this video, and let me know what you thought of this look in the comments below. Alright guys, that about does it. Till next time, peace.